I think it's offensive to assume that because AU found a home here, that this is where it's going to be, end of story. That is offensive. And I think it's offensive to think that you're always going to get reelected, and maybe you don't have to come out to these kinds of things. You know, the problems we're facing in this university didn't come yesterday or a week ago. We've seen this coming for a while. We can't blame a government, but we can see where government inaction, and as we want to call it, discrimination or whatever, we can see where it's put us. So I don't really care what party you vote for, but look at who's on the stage tonight. I mean, these two guys have looked things up. They've got, they're here with their ears, they're listening. And I don't know if someone's here to speak on behalf of Jeff, and I realize that it's a campaign and it's busy, but I'm really disappointed that Jeff Johnson isn't here tonight, because I think let's take this to the personal level, and I didn't get permission to say this, but let's take David Powell out of here. Let's take Jeff Loken's job, all right? Just two people. Let's take Mark Favreau. You're out of here. Job's gone. Okay? Well, we'll see what happens to Heartwood. We'll see how our Collington Fire Department does. We'll see how our community band does, among any other things. But surely, if they can see the value of our energy resources and market those all the hell around the world and cut deals and royalty breaks and this and that, but they can't see a global leader in online learning for what it is, and that is an Alberta success story. That is the Alberta advantage.
No, I think that one of the things that was talked about that we're going to fight for is the funding model. I think it's put this institution at a real disadvantage, and we need an advocate to get in there and fight for that specifically.
If, the Orange Crush continues its ride and we end up being the next government of Alberta, then I hope to find myself at that cabinet table just making that same message that you are. If I'm elected as an opposition member, then to really have an impact, I'm going to need the community's help. And this is something where, an MLA, as powerful as they are, is one voice, right? A united community that's educated, understands the importance of, and can speak up for itself as eloquently as you did tonight, and I see other people doing, that's pretty hard to resist. And so I would work to help facilitate that. I would hope that it wouldn't just be me. I wouldn't think that, I'm going to be standing at the head. I'd work with you guys to put that message across. Yeah, I guess I have a fairly simple answer for that. That is something that I've looked into. I think we need to end the discrimination against AU. IT is AU's infrastructure, and that's how it should be treated.
We got to fight for the funding model, and I think internet-based learning is going to be such a huge advantage for people all throughout Alberta and North America and all over the world that need post-secondary. And I think we have to fight for it tooth and nail, or we're going to lose jobs. I think when I was talking to everybody, preparing myself for the event, a lot of the workers really feel disrespected by their executive. Now, if there's people here from the executive that take offense to that, I think you need to listen to the people that are working in your institution. And anyway, that's what I've been hearing. And a big part of that is a lot of the people in board governance are appointed by the government. They will be appointed by people like Colin and myself. And we need to make sure that we have people from the local communities appointed to the boards that are going to deal with their employees in this education with respect. And I think that's important too. So I think the issue that I'm hearing here and what I'm hearing from people with their concerns about the governance model is that it's the same party picking their friends over and over and over, and that's got to end. And that's part of a problem with a 44-year-old dinosaur dynasty that we have to change in this province.
Yeah, the Board of Governors, the kind of system we have now is I think it's historical baggage, is what it is. And when it comes down, I mean, it used to be that the Board of Governors would be the prominent businessmen and farmers that were actually backstopping the university. We've gone well beyond those times. Now, whether directly electing the Board of Governors or having a transparent selection process that's kind of open, and kind of the way that you would select faculty members, something might be another avenue. Definitely having cronyism on Board of Governors has not been helpful, not just for AU, but for post-secondary institutions across the province. So, in principle, I'm in favor of what you're saying, but there might be more than one way to do that. But yeah.
How then is your new government going to work with other provinces or on a federal level to make it possible for us to have a national distancing and open university?
So my answer to you is that I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that you and everyone in the audience will help tell us. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to listen. I don't have a very good answer for that specifically, but I know that you guys know. So with your help, we can do it together.
When it comes to working to make it Canada's Open University, there's really only one way you can do that, and you're right. That is because of the Constitution. It has to be collaboratively. Right? The federal government is not something that can dictate it, and the Albertan government can't dictate something like that beyond its borders. So it would be part of a collaborative process, and we would have to work in collaboration with the ministries of higher education in the other provinces. That's really the only way I could see something like that.
One of the things that you can expect out of a Wild Rose government and from our party is that we're going to cap the tuition plus the rate of inflation. We're not going to be making necessarily cheaper for students. We're going to continue the cost of education, but only at the rate of inflation, so that the costs don't spiral out of control, including non-instructional fees. So that is a guarantee that we won't be getting education any worse. It's expensive enough as it is.
For the election platform, as an initial promise, the Alberta Democrats are pledging to freeze post-secondary tuition across the province. But that's just considered to be a first step. And at the same time, we pledge to reverse the cuts in the apprentice budget. So that would give schools more room.